Welcome to Review Please, Anime Edition, where we talk all things anime. I am your host, Jesus, and with me is Ell. Ell, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on? I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about the anime we're gonna talk about today. So it's good. You know, nice, lovely Saturday when we're recording this. So yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. I totally didn't just make us do this multiple times, this intro multiple times because I kept messing with stuff. Totally didn't do that, but hey, whatever. But today we're going to be talking about anime. This is a new series that we're doing on the Respawn Please YouTube channel. This will be exclusive to YouTube. It will not go to podcast services or anything, so you'll have to watch it here. It'll also be up on our website. So,
Nice.
But if you don't know who we are two folks that do Respawn Please podcast, where we talk all things video games, and we decided to get into anime because we love anime. And then a lot of our video game nights ultimately result in us talking about anime anyways, right?
Yep.
So
Yep, very
we
true.
were like, let's just dive in and review some
Why not?
animes.
Exactly.
And this anime that we are starting today is one that's near and dear to my heart. Obviously, from the title, you can already tell what it is. You can see it on the little stuff right now. And that is Bocchi the Rock. Bocchi the Rock is a new anime that came in the fall 2022 season, based off a manga of the same name and everything. And boy, oh boy, did this anime take me by surprise, Ell. Like, I was not expecting much from this. I just was scrolling through Crunchyroll, like, minding my own business, going, what am I going to watch in between Spy Family, in between My Hero Academia? What am I going to watch in between these things? And I saw Bocchi the Rock, and I was like, this seems cool. Why not check it out? And my gosh, when I tell you, this is probably my favorite anime. It's easily in my top 5 favorite animes of 2022.
Nice.
Boy, oh boy, this anime it's so freaking heartwarming. It's so cozy. It's so much fun. Like, I just love everything about Bocchi the Rock. But before we get too deep into it, Ell, what are your thoughts about Bocchi the Rock? How do you feel about it? Just top level thoughts.
Yeah, no, definitely. Bocchi the Rock. I didn't know because this is coming off a recommendation that you told me to watch out because me and my partner, we watch a lot of animes. It's really the mostly the only thing that we watch. Because I really don't watch a lot of TV too much. I'll try every now and then, but it's very rare. But we always make it a habit to watch an episode or two a day of an anime that we're enjoying. And you recommended this to me because we were looking. One genre of anime that we really enjoy a lot is a slice of life. A slice of life, nothing too like crazy. Even though I know I enjoy action anime a lot, my partner, she loves slice of life, something that she can just kind of relax, and not take too serious and kind of laugh and enjoy. And you recommend this to me, and so Bocchi the Rock at first. Maybe later on in a future episode we'll talk about Ranking of Kings, where Bocchi is the main character's name there, even though this is a nickname in this one. But all I could think of was like that anime, and I was like, oh, I wonder what this one's about. And you broke it down to me. But going through it, man, it was a very relaxing, relatable anime. I'll say that much. Where if you're like, I don't want to get too far into it because you'll probably give a little description of it, but it's something that I think that anybody who watches this will either one relate to it or will relate to it in a way to where they know someone that is like Bocchi. And so it's really cool. It has great music, has great moments. It's funny, and it's very easygoing. Something that you can easily pick up and just like almost you could really just binge through it in a day because it's so easy to take in and just to go through. And so overall very enjoyable.
Yeah, it's not overly complicated. I think it's a fairly straightforward anime. Like, on its surface, it's about this girl who wants to be a musician, who wants to be part of a band. And there's obviously other things on top of that, but like this whole journey just in these 12 episodes just is a simple journey with very endearing characters. I think every single character is so gosh darn endearing. Even one that gets introduced like about episode 4 or 5 ish, around there. It's I can't remember her name. The one that drinks a lot. Even she's endearing. Yeah, even she's endearing and makes it fun and like doesn't overstay her welcome or anything. Like, I think a lot of times in anime, there's always one or two characters that I'm just like, please, just go away. But
exactly.
I didn't have that. I didn't feel that way about Bocchi the Rock. with any of the characters. I liked it all. But let's give a synopsis of Bocchi the Rock. For those who aren't familiar, those who are just interested in Bocchi the Rock and may not yet ready make that plunge into the anime. So the plot, I'm just reading straight from the website. Extremely anxious and socially awkward Hitori Goto longs to become a rock musician in spite of her struggles, whilst fulfilling her desires to one day make friends. She is even given a chance to do so after she is taken in by Nijika Ichi to become a member of the newly formed Kasoka band, which literally means zip tie. It just means zip tie, which is funny. But so this is where I think where you're getting at, where the relatability comes in. This socially awkward, very anxious girl, Hitori. She is so gosh darn relatable because I have social anxiety. I have felt the way she does, and I think the animation that goes around displaying her anxiety is so damn good because it just captured these moments really well in a very humorous way too. Because like she'll get these moments where she's very anxious, and it'll like the animation style will like change from like what the actual episode is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Into like this weird. There's one where she like turns into like a virus and infects those around her, whatever the episode that was, and the characters become infected by her social anxiety and stuff. There's another one where she's like on a desert planet or something, wandering around and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like it's just really cool, like how they display that social anxiety, and then the moments where she's like, "I'm so ready to get out of my shell. I think I'm making progress," and then immediately goes, "Oh no, I'm not making progress at all." Shit.
Exactly. No, exactly.
Yeah, there's just so much endearing about the main character, Hitori. But also Nijika Ichi, Ryo Yamada, Ikkyo Kita, the other members of the band, they're also endearing. Kita gets introduced a little bit later than the other ones. She turns out she was originally also part of the band, but she left. Plot twist here.
Yep.
She was originally part of the band, but she left randomly, didn't really tell them anything because she couldn't play a guitar, even though she told them they could, which is how ultimately Hitori got into the band, because she could play guitar and they needed a guitarist.
Exactly.
But things come back around.
What's funny is about Hitori is that she's actually like this very skilled guitar player, and she has this YouTube-esque page that's very popular, but in the videos, from the small little moments that you see of her page, she's always just recording herself. They never see her face because she's very shy and she never wants to show her face on camera. And people like love her online, and like online she's just like, everybody's like, "Oh my god, you're so amazing," but then in real life she's this shy, introverted, doesn't talk to anybody hardly at all. And it's so funny the contrast of like I said, because I know a couple people who are like that, who they're so talented, but they're just so like kind of to themselves, if that makes sense. And so I enjoyed that a lot, and just seeing that duality, like you said, where moments in Bocchi the Rock, she's so skilled, and then she's so confident in her head, and she almost daydreams in a way that like this is how it's gonna play out. I'm gonna do this. This is great. Like I'm gonna rock out. People are gonna love me. They're gonna love me. And then as soon as she is about to go and do, perform or do something that'll, go through with that motion.
Eyes on her.
Eyes on her. She's just like, "Oh, I forgot about this part.
Yeah.
I didn't think that people would pay attention to me." And so it's super funny.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. To backtrack here a little bit, her alias on the YouTube S thing is Guitar Hero. And,
that's right. Yeah, Guitar.
And like in one of the first, I think it was like the first or second episode, Nijika, when Nijika and Ryo talk about Guitar Hero, they're like, "Oh yeah, you play like Guitar Hero," without realizing it's later on that they make the connection that, oh, that is Guitar Hero. Because which I always found that fascinating, and they even mentioned it was like, we should have known by the guitar that you had, because it's that's the same guitar in those videos. So it's like,
so funny.
The one thing I want to talk about too is something that I adored a great deal. I'm trying to find the actual names. Okay, so in Bocchi's family, family is probably one of the most amusing things. I love the support that Bocchi's mother and father have for her, encouraging her. And then her sister, Futari. Her sister, Futari, is easily the most brutal character,
Yeah.
but like in an endearing way. But her sister is just very blunt and is like, yeah, my sister, she does nothing. She sits at home all day. There's the episode where she like it's towards the end of the season where it's like, yeah, my sister's just she tried to teach me guitar because she's not doing anything, and I was like, I don't have time for her. It's like, oh my god. But like I don't know. How did you feel about Futari?
No, she was great. It's funny because she's the opposite of Hitori. And
Mhm.
so it's that seeing like the contrast in between the two where one is just like, yeah, I don't it's just whatever. And like, my sister just sits in this closet all day and plays the guitar. That's all she does. And like I'm over here like her sister just being like, I have friends, I'm gonna go talk to them, I'm gonna do things, whatever. And so because it reminds me of the episode where Hitori has become friends with the band. They're a part of the band, all four of them, and she purposely decides not to make plans because she expects that they're gonna hang out for the
Yeah.
summer.
Mhm.
But because she doesn't say anything, she doesn't take the initiative to ask, "Hey, do you guys wanna hang out?" And so the entire summer, she's just in her house, staying home, and then her sister is like, "Yeah, she just spent her whole summer here in the house by herself, not doing anything, or just, like,
Yeah.
playing the guitar." And, like, her little sister's like, "I went out and had fun with friends and stuff," and so it's super funny, but I love her sister because it's a great dynamic to have this shy, introverted, talented person and this other person who's not afraid to speak their mind and just kind of be blunt.
Yeah, and it even becomes even more funny when you think about the age difference because like her sister's only like 6, 7 years old,
Yeah,
where
exactly.
Hitori's 14 or something like that, and so
Yeah,
it's just like, man, this little kid is brutal, and I love it. I love it
exactly,
to death.
exactly.
But like even her parents though are they mean well and like they are fully supportive of Hitori and the band and everything. But even there's even moments when there's an episode where Hitori has to sell tickets to the band. She
Oh,
has to
yeah.
only sell what is it, 5 tickets or something like that.
5 tickets, yeah, 5
And she's
tickets.
like, my sister, my dog, the
My
dog.
dog, yeah,
They're like, the dog can't go, and Futari is too young to go. So, and she was like,
exactly.
oh, I only have two. And then the mom was like, well, since you don't have any friends, I can sell it to my friends. It's like, oh man. And then like they even for a moment even thought she was lying about her friends who were like, oh, they're not
Exactly.
imaginary friends. You're actually serious. You
Yeah,
actually have friends.
that's so funny. Yeah, 'cause
So
they're so supportive, but yeah, they kind of are very much like, "Oh, okay, if you say so." Like, they kinda don't believe anything that she says, if she's a part of the band, and then they're like, "Oh, the band's real? Oh, I
yeah.
didn't know that the band was real." And so, it's super funny.
But yeah, so uh Hitori's father though, she got her love of music from him. In the very first episode she had been watching something like a concert or something with her father, like on the
Yeah.
television.
Yep.
And she was like, oh, I can do that. I want to learn that. Dad, can I use your guitar? And the dad was like, yeah, go ahead. And then like
Mhm.
the rest is history there. So like her dad even felt proud of her daughter,
Exactly, that
of
she
his
was
daughter.
inspired.
Yeah, that she was inspired. Went to her first concert,
Yep.
supported her and everything, and was just like, "This is awesome." Just like that, the love of the parents, even though the parents roast her a
Yes.
lot, so the
A
family
lot.
roasts her a lot. They were still very supportive of her and stuff, and so I thought that was one of the endearing things about the show too. Um, but yeah, so like going back to this relatability with
Mhm.
Hitori and that awkwardness, I think they, as I mentioned, I think they did an excellent job of kind of um, showcasing that through animation, and
Mhm.
then her moments when she does rock out.
Yeah.
It happens maybe 3 or 4 times throughout season one, where she gets in the zone, and then it's just like blissful magic. Like the music just
Exactly.
comes to her because even her bandmates, when she's like rocking out, look over and like, what the hell?
Yeah,
They seem
exactly.
shocked by it. They're like, oh my god. So
Yeah.
because like that happens, it happens multiple times. It always feels so great when that happens because like it's like that switch where she's like nervous, 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 and she goes, no, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, and then just falls into it. And like it takes, and it's not one of those things where it just it doesn't, it always feels earned, is I guess what I'm trying to say. It
Yeah.
always feels like it's earned in those moments where she's like, this feels great. It doesn't feel cheap. It always feels gratifying to see her like rock out and like just like this crazy support that these other characters have for her in those moments.
No, definitely. I was gonna say it reminds me a moment that I remember where you kind of see her overcome the obstacle being like her confidence is
Mhm.
when they first put on a performance to I can't remember I think it's what's
The sister,
the sister? Yeah, the
um,
sister, and they're performing to see whether or not they'll
uh,
be in the showcase. I can't remember her name, but it's one of the
Seika,
band mem Yeah,
Seika,
there you go.
Seika
And
Ichi.
yes, exactly. And so they're performing for her because, Hitori, she's like, "Yeah, I'll be a part of the band," because she can't say no. She just goes along with it, even though if she doesn't want to.
Mhm.
Um, and she's performing, but then there's a moment where she goes, "I have to perform," and she performs, and then she notices that her sister sees that and is like, "Hold on, like, I see something here. There's something here." And so there's a lot of moments like that that I like where what this anime does is that it makes it easy to see, and it's a great representation of what maybe someone who does have like social anxiety like this, to where the like how they feel, and like
Mhm.
and like in an animated way, like what they wanna do. Because there are times where Bocchi, like, when they're teaching her how to be like a bartender, so to
Yeah.
speak, and, like, she does not like talking to people. She has a hard time talking to people, and she's, like, in the trash can. She's like, "I'm gonna sit here in this trash,
Trash
and
can.
I'm just gonna sit down here because I don't feel comfortable." And, like, there's an episode where she's working the confidence up to, like, recite an order or tell the person, like, help them with their order, and
Mhm.
it's just, like, the feeling that she feels and how it makes her exhausted, and there's a lot of moments like that to where what I really like how they just show what they could feel like going through something like that. Because
Yeah.
I've had that plenty of times where one thing is like whenever it's like talking in public or talking to strangers, like how that can be very intimidating. And it's like,
Mhm.
to some people they might be like, well, what's the big deal? It's but like for those who struggle with that, like I myself being one, it's like, oh, but like just what do I talk about? Like what do I say? What's the whole thing? And it's always good to, like, see Bocchi go through that or Hitori to go through that and, like, overcome that. Same thing with one of my favorite episodes is when she meets the drunk lady and,
Yeah.
like, she learns that she's a bass player, and she's like, "Let's just perform live," and Hitori's like, "I've never done that, like, perform on the street?" And then to see her, like, overcome that, and then she gains fans, and, these 2 women are
The
like,
girl.
"Oh my god, you're amazing."
Yeah.
And she's like, "People like me?" Like,
Yeah.
I love moments like that, and so it's so cool, and when they happen, you enjoy it, and you're, like, happy for Hitori.
Yeah. Those 2, I especially loved it when those 2 showed up to our actual concert that they had a couple of, like, an episode 2 later going, "Yeah, we're here for
Exactly,
you.
yeah,
We wanted to see you."
exactly.
And Bocchi was like, what? You actually showed
Really?
up?" Yeah. The alcoholic woman's name is, Kikuri. Um,
Kikori.
yeah,
Okay.
and if you remember, she used to be in a band with,
Oh,
Seika,
that's right. That's
the
right.
owner of the club, the sister to, Nijika and all that. So people slowly getting, I think that's another thing too about the show is like slowly connecting all these characters in different ways.
Mhm.
From being sisters to being formerly in bands together and stuff like that. I think they do a good job of like introducing characters and not overwhelming the viewer. Just having Nijika and Rio being the first ones that Bocchi meets, getting the nickname from Nijika, being like, "Oh yeah,
Yep.
we'll just call you Bocchi," and then because that's the first nickname that she ever got, she was like, "Yeah, just call me Bocchi." It's like, okay,
That's so
because that was
funny.
the
Yeah.
first nickname she had ever received, and then later on, she got another nickname, and she was like, "Yes, call me that." It was like, okay, calm down.
Exactly. And
But
one I'll say one thing that I like the ensemble of the band because
mhm,
they all kind of have different aspects that kind of, like, can help, Hitori grow.
mhm,
And so for like, you have Kita, who is very extroverted, very outgoing. She's not afraid to talk to people and say,
mhm,
"Hey." She has this very bubbly personality. To you have Nijika, who is like she's more of a like, takes control and isn't afraid to like,
mhm,
okay, this is what we're gonna do. Like this is how it is, and she knows how to like fall through with stuff. Even to something as like Rio, who like Rio, I love Rio as a character because she's like doing her own thing. She doesn't mind like, no, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And then like she has also a lot of funny moments, and I like her character because she's always like mooching off of other people, even though she's like comes from a wealthy
Yeah.
family. And so it's always funny because she's spending her money on guitars and like bass
Yeah.
guitars
She
and
like
a
buys
bunch of
new
equipment.
yeah, she buys new instruments and then like she's like, I'm hungry. Can someone buy me food? It's like and then
Exactly.
like and then Hitori keeps buying her food and it's like, you still haven't paid
Yeah.
me for the last time. She's like, oh, don't worry, I'll pay you. It's like oh,
Exactly,
you still
but
haven't paid her.
exactly, but, like, I think what I like is they all represent something, like, to go back to, Rio, it's like, she's not afraid to be herself, which
Mm,
it helps Bocchi because there's an episode where they ask Bocchi to, Hitori to write a song, and she's like, "Well, I like this type of music and I write about these types of things," but in her writing, she doubts herself and is like, "No, they won't like that, they won't like that," and then Rio is the one that's like, well, why don't you write something that is you? Like, write
mhm,
something that is you, because what you're showing us doesn't sound that good, but as long as you're yourself, I think it'll be great. And
yeah,
that is like they're all helping her to kind of build up confidence to be like, "Oh, it is okay to be me," type
yeah.
of thing. And I really like that. And so you see that like all throughout the season, and it's like so fun to watch.
The one thing that we haven't talked about yet, though, this is the thing that I absolutely love, and we
Mhm.
briefly talked about this before, but I don't think we've actually talked about this at length. Is how amazing the animation is when they are playing
Oh yeah.
music. The
Oh yeah.
animation when they're playing music, like it is spot on. Like the way she riffs on the guitar and everything, her hand placements and everything, very believable. Maybe a little off at times, but it's still like wow. Like they
Oh yeah.
like from the drums to when they're playing guitars to just everything. It was just like, man, they went all out with that animation to make it feel like this is an actual like musician playing because like they do close-ups
Exactly.
of the hand placements of the
Yeah.
twirl of the drumsticks when Nijika's jamming out on the drums. It's like the animation just for when they're rocking out and playing music is just like, God, this is
Yeah.
amazing. I don't know. How
Yeah.
did you
I'll
feel
say
as a musician?
no, it was great. One thing that I really love, it makes it they did a good, thing of, like, representing what sometimes you kind of feel like as a musician, me
Mhm,
being, like, a piano player. You kind of, almost and a bass player as well, but, like, what happens is, like, whenever you're by yourself and you're kind of, like, maybe playing an instrument by yourself, it just feels normal, but whenever someone is watching you or you kind of have a crowd watching you, it almost feels like you're in a movie and you're trying to, like, perform and like just get into it and get
mhm,
lost and actually like do a really good job. And so what I like is like how normal it feels before they start to perform, but then when they do perform, it almost feels cinematic in a way where it's
yeah,
like they're really like rocking out and they're like getting into it compared to like the people that are watching. And so you notice that whenever like they're performing at the festival and like they're getting to it and like Bocchi's going off. And then like when it cuts from Bocchi to like the crowd and crowd's reactions, just like the difference in like the style of the
mhm,
way that it's animated, you kind of notice that. And like it's really cool. It's done very well. Like I really love it. And they just really get into it. And like one of my favorite things is at the festival, when Bocchi has to deal with that issue with the guitar and like her like going on the fly with it. And it's just like so cool, and, but yeah, the animation is it's crazy. I love it. It's
yeah,
perfect, it's, like, accurate. It's not they didn't just gloss over that. They really like,
mhm,
"Okay, how would a performer perform? What does it look like? Are they just doing this, doing that, or whatever?"
yeah.
But it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, you brought it up when the guitar string broke on her guitar and she had to use, she what did she do? She
Used a
used
can,
something.
like a tin
Yeah.
can
Yeah, a tin
to
can to
kind of,
hold
like,
it,
bend the
then the
strings so that way
to
everything would stay in key, so that
yeah,
way it didn't go out and sound bad, and she
yeah,
did it on the fly, and, like, at first you're like, "Oh god, what's happening? What's
yeah,
going on? This is bad," but then she kind of is able to be like, "Okay, I gotta do something and I have to do it now," and she's able to pick up a can that she sees and is able to use that
use
as
it.
just a way to bend the notes so that way everything although it might not fit, it's able to fit because of what she's doing.
Yeah. And the band was able to adjust to it as well instead of just
Exactly.
being in silence, they kind of adjusted, and she even notes that in her head as she's playing, she's like, "Oh, they're making up for my lack of being
Exactly.
able to do this particular note,"
Exa
and
exactly,
is like,
and,
"Yeah."
yeah, that's one thing that I like because a lot of people might not realize that that happens more than you know. Like, if
Mhm.
you ever go see a performer or if you watch a performance, a lot of stuff is going on that the musician's job is to make it seem as if everything is going smooth and it's going as it's supposed to go. But a lot of times, sometimes you might miss, playing a certain note or playing a certain chord or whatever, and you're kind of like, okay, how do I get back to where I need to be in order to get back into the rhythm? And so that happens way more than people think. And just because everybody does a great job of, they know how to think on the fly, they know how to like cover it up, and people wouldn't know any better unless you had like that knowledge or you're a musician yourself.
I think the other fun thing that I want to highlight are these relationships. I mean, we briefly touched on it, but like the
Mhm.
relationships between each of the band members and how we get glimpses of these relationships where Rio, as you mentioned earlier, is kind of like, I'm doing my own thing, and Kita like admires her for that and is like,
Yeah.
and probably to a unhealthy degree obsessed with Rio.
Very, very
Um,
much so.
and but even like Kita and Hitori, like Hitori starts teaching her how to play guitar and is like, I'll teach you how to play guitar, don't worry. Like,
Yeah.
there was a brief moment where Hitori was like, "Oh my god, she's gonna learn guitar. She's gonna be so much better than me. They're gonna get rid of me." And
Yep.
it is like, no, no, they all love you. They're gonna keep you. Even Kita was like, "No, I'm always gonna be here to support you." And I think
Yep.
like that's just again going back to that dynamic between these band members, because they kind of just like they none of them are, well, Nijika and Rio were friends sort of, but even then Nijika just kind of like picked up Rio and was like, "Hey, we're gonna make a band together. Come on, let's do this."
Exactly.
And so like just seeing their friendship and their dynamic was amazing. And again, just that like crazy support of Hitori and helping her, just realizing that she needs to break out of her shell and realizing
Yeah.
that it's gonna take time. And
Oh, yeah.
I think that's just a magical thing, like in how you see that grow as the episodes go on.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
like I said, this became like one of my favorite animes, easily my
Oh,
top
yeah.
5 favorite animes of 2022. Doesn't quite scratch my itch of my number one anime, which is Cyberpunk Edge Runners, but we don't even have to get into that. But this was an anime that just took me by surprise.
Oh,
I fell
yeah.
in love with it. I am so eager to see them continue this. I really hope this gets a second season and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Just because like I want more of this.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want more of these. I want more of the band. I want just more of the just seeing how Hitori can grow as she gets more and more involved with the band.
Yeah.
Um, I just yeah, I just fell in love with all these characters, and I just want to see more of this because it was just so much fun, heartwarming, cozy. Um,
Yeah.
all these adjectives that I want to say, but I can't think of the right adjectives right now. But
I'll say
like,
too as well, great music
yeah,
in the show.
yeah,
Like, when
it's
they do perform and they have the music going on, it sounds great.
oh yeah. I forgot to mention this. I told you before we started
Yeah.
streaming, they actually released an album for Bocchi the Rock
Yeah.
on Spotify. It got released December. Let me read this real quick. It got released December 25th on Christmas. Um, and all that. So you can go listen to the band. It's a mix of original music and covers. So there's a couple of songs that are original, made for the album, made for the show, and then the rest of the
Nice.
album are like covers and stuff of other Japanese rock bands and stuff. So I thought that was really cool um, to see, like, that's a show about music to release an album.
Oh, yeah.
Duh, it makes sense to do that, but like it's not something I was expecting.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I just saw this when I was doing a quick research to make sure I could remember names and stuff. I was like, "Oh wow, they actually released an album and you can listen on Spotify." I was listening to it before we started.
Oh, and,
But
I'll say too as well that the comedy is great. Like, it's
yeah.
not like overdone. It's
Mhm.
like done so like it knows when to be funny and it knows when to be like kind of, moving in and out of being kind of serious,
Mhm.
to funny. Cause like it's just funny to see Bocchi's reaction or actually Hitori's reactions to certain things and how other people react. One of the characters that I really like that we spoke earlier was I forgot her name already. The girl's always drunk. Like,
Yeah.
just seeing her and her like, oh, like, free spirit esque type of thing. Um it's funny. and like it's I'd say it's an anime that it's gonna have you laughing, feeling endearing, and just like wanting to see Hitori come out of her shell.
Yeah.
Does great
Would
build up.
Oh yeah, fantastic build up and just fantastic, just depiction of characters, fantastic depiction of music.
Yep.
Um, would you recommend this anime to anybody? I
Oh
think
yeah,
I think the answer
definitely.
is yeah. I think the obvious answer
Yeah.
is yes. This is
I'll
definitely an anime I would say. I think no matter, even if like you're not into slices of a slice of life anime, I think there's still a
yeah.
lot here to enjoy, even if you're not into that sort of anime. I
Oh
still think
yeah.
there's a lot here, especially if like you're a musician and you like music,
Yeah.
which is a lot of people out there. I think this is a good anime to just watch and just vibe to, because the vibes for the show are fantastic
Oh yeah.
from start to finish. So
Definitely. I was gonna say that, yeah, even if you're not really into like, more laid back, chill types of animes, this is like a great one, I think. Like if you just wanna kind of don't wanna have to think too much or kind of look into like the plot, because the plot itself is very simple throughout the whole season.
yeah,
It's easy to follow, as you said earlier, and I think it's something that if you just kind of want to relax and don't want to like get into too much crazy action or stuff like that, this is like perfect for you, and it's like perfect to it's just heartwarming. It's like a
yeah,
good one to just kind of like, oh, this is great.
yeah. And it ends just thoughts on such a heartwarming note. She's excited and made me excited. I was like, man,
Oh
I
yeah,
need more of this. I need more
exactly.
of
Yeah.
this. But yeah, this anime is fantastic. I highly recommend folks check it out. Um, and yeah, man, I I just love Bocchi the Rock.
Yeah, Bochi's great.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing. I hope that they make more.
If they don't make more, we riot and burn
We
everything
were right.
down. We burn the world down. We burn everything down. All right. So, Elle, what is our next anime? Because you get to choose what we're gonna review for February. What do
Our
we got?
next anime is gonna be one that, we both love, and I think a lot of people really love. It's gonna be Spy X Family.
Yay, Spy Family!
Oh, yes. The good old
Um,
Spy X Family.
so just to reveal this, the only reason this happened
Uh-huh.
is because there was literally like nothing else to vote for. But on Crunchyroll, they're doing like their anime awards for 2022. And like
Uh-huh.
after you vote, they give you a little infographic of everything you voted for.
Uh-huh.
And everything was Spy Family or Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
That's
Those-
hilarious.
there was occasionally something different. Bocchi the Rock wasn't nominated for anything, which pissed me off. I was like,
Wow.
come on, give me something. But yeah, pretty much everything was for me. And then it was like random categories where like I think I voted for Demon Slayer at one point just because I was like, I don't know,
Ah.
Demon Slayer, I guess, because it's the only anime I knew from the list. But yeah, everything was Spy Family and Cyberpunk Edge Runners on my infograph that they
That's
that they
hilarious.
had. So I was like, cool, makes sense. I
Yeah,
love both of those animes. So,
very
um,
true.
but yeah, I'm excited about talking about Spy Family. We've had conversations about it. Um,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
just general sort of things. But yeah, diving into the plot.
Mhm.
Uh, have you watched it all already?
Yep.
Are you gonna
Watched it
rewatch
all
it?
already.
Yeah.
I'll probably watch maybe a couple episodes, just because this season was 25. We talked about it before the
Yeah.
podcast. 25 episodes the first season. Um, and like there's a lot of episodes that are like my favorites from this season just because
Mhm.
it's so well done and so well written. So I'll probably, watch a couple just to rewatch like, oh, I remember this one.
Yeah.
I already know one off the top of my head, but I'll save it for the next
Yeah.
episode.
I have a couple of off the top of my head too. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. So that'll be sometime in February. We're not
Yeah.
quite sure. It's whenever we can find time in our busy schedules. But it'll be up sometime in February. Hopefully, we should probably sit down and figure out an actual schedule after this.
Yeah.
But we've got plenty of time.
Oh,
So be
also
on the
I would
lookout.
say
So,
I would say too, if there's any animes that anybody who watches that would recommend, maybe drop it in the comments, or
mhm,
because we have I'm pretty sure we have an idea of a couple animes that we'll talk about, but there could be some that maybe we haven't seen or maybe
mhm,
we
mhm.
didn't think to talk about that might be great. So if anybody's watching, put it in the comments. It's like, hey, you guys should talk about this one, and then
Yeah.
we'll give it a try.
And I need everybody to convince L to let's do high school DxD. He refuses to
Oh
do
my
it.
god.
We need I need everybody to convince Ell to do High School DxD.
Oh boy. I don't know.
I'm completely joking. It's a completely inappropriate anime to try to do this for.
That's so funny.
Anyways, thank you all so much for joining us. We stream on YouTube every Wednesday and Friday. Friday is our video game podcast, the Respawn Please podcast, and then on Wednesdays we stream just video game stuff. So feel free to join us on that. We stream at 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time. And Ell, what are all our socials?
Yes, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Respawn Please Podcast. And then on Twitter, follow us at Respawn_please, as well as visit respawnplease.com for all our reviews and future videos.
Yeah, and that's about it. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this first episode of Review Please Anime Edition. We'll see you later. Have a
Bye.
wonderful, wonderful time.